Section 1. A century of contention, setting the stage. The Israel-Palestine conflict is one of the most enduring and complex geopolitical issues of our time. It is a conflict rooted in competing claims to land, resources, and national identity. This struggle has reverberated across the globe, impacting regional stability and shaping international relations. Understanding this conflict requires a deep dive into its historical origins, the evolution of key issues, and the motivations of the actors involved. This analysis will examine the conflict's historical roots, explore its current manifestations, and assess its broader geopolitical implications. By unraveling the complexities of this conflict, we can better grasp its profound impact on the Middle East and the world at large. Section 2. Historical roots, seeds of conflict. The seeds of the Israel-Palestine conflict were sown in the late 19th century. The decline of the Ottoman Empire, which had ruled the region for centuries, created a power vacuum. Jewish nationalism, known as Zionism, emerged as a significant force, advocating for a Jewish state in their ancestral homeland. Simultaneously, Palestinian Arabs sought self-determination in the same territory they knew as their home. The Balfour Declaration of 1917, in which Britain pledged support for a Jewish homeland in Palestine, further complicated the situation. This declaration, while supporting Zionist aspirations, failed to adequately address the concerns of the Palestinian Arab population. This period witnessed the arrival of Jewish immigrants to Palestine, increasing tensions with the Arab population. The stage was set for a conflict that would escalate throughout the 20th century. Section 3. The rise of Zionism and Palestinian nationalism. The early 20th century witnessed the rise of both Zionism and Palestinian nationalism. Zionism, fueled by centuries of Jewish diaspora and increasing anti-Semitism in Europe, aimed to establish a Jewish homeland in Palestine. The Holocaust, the systematic extermination of Jews during World War II, further solidified the urgency of this goal. Palestinian nationalism, on the other hand, arose in response to the growing Zionist presence and the perceived threat to their own homeland and identity. Palestinian Arabs increasingly organized themselves politically, advocating for their rights and self-determination. These competing nationalisms, both deeply rooted in historical claims and aspirations, set the course for a protracted conflict. Section 4. Wars and Intifadas, shaping the conflict. The establishment of the State of Israel in 1948 marked a pivotal moment in the conflict. The ensuing Arab-Israeli War of 1948 resulted in Israel's victory and the displacement of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians, creating a refugee crisis that continues to this day. Subsequent wars in 1967 and 1973 further solidified Israel's military dominance and expanded its territorial control, including the capture of the West Bank, Gaza Strip, and East Jerusalem. The Palestinian struggle took on new forms with the outbreak of the First Intifada in 1987. This sustained uprising, characterized by civil disobedience and armed resistance, forced the international community to engage more directly with the Palestinian issue. A second Intifada erupted in 2000, marked by increased violence and further deterioration of relations between Israelis and Palestinians. These cycles of war and uprising have deeply scarred both societies, leaving a legacy of mistrust and animosity. Section 5. The Oslo Accords, a Glimmer of Hope. The 1993 Oslo Accords offered a glimmer of hope for a peaceful resolution to the conflict. This groundbreaking agreement, signed by Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin and PLO Chairman Yasser Arafat, was based on the principle of land for peace. It envisioned a two-state solution, with Israel withdrawing from occupied territories in exchange for Palestinian recognition of Israel's right to exist. The Oslo Accords led to the establishment of the Palestinian Authority, tasked with governing parts of the West Bank and Gaza Strip. It seemed for a moment that a path towards coexistence was possible. However, the assassination of Rabin in 1995 and subsequent political developments on both sides undermined the peace process. The optimism of Oslo gradually faded, replaced by renewed violence and political deadlock. Section 6. Settlements and the two-state solution, growing challenges. One of the most contentious issues in the conflict is the expansion of Israeli settlements in the occupied West Bank. These settlements, considered illegal under international law, have become a major obstacle to the two-state solution. The continued growth of settlements has fragmented the West Bank, making the creation of a contiguous, viable Palestinian state increasingly difficult. The international community has repeatedly condemned settlement expansion, but Israel has largely ignored these calls. The settlement issue has become a focal point of diplomatic efforts, highlighting the challenges of achieving a lasting peace agreement. Section 7. Jerusalem, a city divided. Jerusalem, a city sacred to both Jews and Muslims, lies at the heart of the conflict. Israel claims the entire city as its unified capital, while Palestinians view East Jerusalem as the capital of their future state. The status of Jerusalem, with its holy sites, historical significance, and complex demographics, remains one of the most intractable issues in the peace process. Control over access to holy sites, such as the Temple Mount Haram al-Sharif, has been a constant source of tension. The future of Jerusalem, its sovereignty, and the rights of its inhabitants are likely to remain central to any future negotiations. Section 8. The role of global powers, external influences. The Israel-Palestine conflict has long been a focal point of international diplomacy. The United States, as Israel's closest ally, has played a pivotal role in mediating negotiations and providing significant military and economic aid to Israel. Other global powers, such as the European Union, Russia, and China, have also been involved in diplomatic efforts, albeit with varying degrees of influence. The United Nations, through its various agencies and resolutions, has sought to address the humanitarian and political dimensions of the conflict. The Arab world has historically played a significant role, both in supporting the Palestinian cause and in some cases pursuing peace initiatives with Israel. The conflict has become a microcosm of broader geopolitical dynamics, with various powers pursuing their interests and wielding their influence in the region. Section 9. The current geopolitical landscape, navigating complexities. The Israel-Palestine conflict continues to shape the geopolitical landscape of the Middle East. The ongoing stalemate, punctuated by periodic outbreaks of violence, has fueled instability and hampered regional cooperation. The rise of new actors, such as Hamas in Gaza, has further complicated the dynamics of the conflict. The Israeli-Palestinian issue has also become a rallying cry for extremist groups, adding to the region's volatility. The conflict's impact extends beyond the Middle East, influencing global public opinion and shaping international alliances. Navigating this complex geopolitical terrain requires a nuanced understanding of the historical grievances, political realities, and competing interests at play. Section 10. A look ahead. The future of the conflict. The future of the Israel-Palestine conflict remains uncertain. The two-state solution, once seen as the most viable path to peace, faces significant challenges. The expansion of settlements, the rise of extremist ideologies, and the lack of political will on both sides have created a seemingly intractable situation. The international community continues to call for a resumption of negotiations and a just resolution to the conflict. However, the prospects for a breakthrough remain dim. The Israel-Palestine conflict will likely continue to cast a long shadow over the Middle East, impacting regional stability and shaping global geopolitics for years to come.